All right, guys, welcome back to my Sekiro walkthrough. It's Dadbod here. So glad you've decided to tune in. And we are here in the Ashina Outskirts, and we are about to progress through. And we have a lot of things on the docket for this episode. So we're going to start by grappling over here to this little hole in the wall, and we receive the Shuriken Wheel, a mechanical device made by the mechanical genius Dogen. It can be fit into the shinobi prosthetic to become a working prosthetic tool. While it is palm-sized, a surprising number of shuriken can fit into the Shuriken Wheel, as the edges were designed for stacking, a fine example of what can be achieved when one matches mechanical finesse with a shinobi's talent. So this, we take it back to the sculptor. He will fit it into our prosthetic, and we can actually use the Shuriken Wheel. And in order for it to happen, we have to visit him. We'll do that in just a bit. I'm not going to bother doing that right now, but we will definitely get to that in short order. So we can actually climb up this wall here. I missed it. It's probably easier just to grapple anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grapple up here and grapple up to the top of the roof. And then that allows us to easily get to this thing I was just trying to hop over to a second ago. Over here, we got some more pellets. And the reason why I wanted to get up top here is because if you look down, that guy is our next mini boss that we're going to fight. And he has 2 death blow bars. And one thing about this game is that with the vast majority of mini bosses, you can actually sneak up on them and get a stealth death blow on them, which takes away 1 of their health bars. Right off the bat. So it makes the mini boss fight significantly easier if you get rid of 1 of those death blows via stealth right off the bat. So we're going to sneak around behind him. Hopefully I'm not going to screw this up. If I do, it's not the end of the world. But this is how you would do it, and hopefully we pull it off. So I'm going to grapple over to this rooftop. You can see he still doesn't know we're here. And we're going to drop down. Make sure you do not land on the carts, because that will alert him to your presence. You want to drop straight on the ground, maybe crouch, and then sneak over right here behind him. See, we have our red circle. Got that death blow. So this boss, mini boss, I should say, has in his repertoire what would be called perilous attacks. Anytime an enemy is going to do a perilous attack, it is marked by that red kind of Japanese character over their head. And so there's 3 types of perilous attacks. There's a grab attack, and those do a pretty considerable amount of damage if they land, if they do end up grabbing you. There's also a thrust attack, and then there's a circular spinning attack. There's a specific response to each of them. And you have to, you basically have to react as quickly as you can to whatever the game gives you, and not only react, but react in the appropriate fashion. So I think this guy has a sweep attack. If he sweeps at you, you basically have to jump up and do a kind of what's called a Goomba stomp on his head, and that does a pretty significant posture damage, actually. You can't deflect a sweep attack. You can't deflect a grab attack. You can actually deflect a thrust attack, but that's the only one of those 3 that you can deflect. You just have to really watch for the tell to figure out what they're going to do. And respond appropriately. Grabs, you definitely don't want to be in range of that. So, you want to get out of the way, probably just dodge. And then if they miss their grab, that will leave them vulnerable to an attack. So with that being said, a lot of enemies in the game use these perilous attacks. It's something that you just always have to be watching out for. And once you kind of get the hang of it, it'll become second nature, or something close to second nature. So without further ado, let's get this fight on. So you can see he's already lost 1 of his death blows. He's got 1 left. And the thing about this game is you just got to be aggressive. So he has that jump attack where he swings his sword down at you. I missed the block there. I'm going to go ahead and use my healing gourd. And that, when he has the white smoke, that's actually him recovering his posture. So if possible, you want to run up to him and knock him out of that so he doesn't recover any of his posture. So there's his sweep attack, and I missed the jump on it. I jumped away from it, but I didn't land on his head, but that's okay. But the general counter to a sweep attack, whether you land on their head or not, is just to jump. You want to jump over the sweep attack. And for our trouble, we get a prayer bead. A loose prayer bead, offering 4 of them at a sculptor's idol, will increase our maximum vitality and posture. Currently, we have 1 bead in our possession. And we also get a gourd seed from which healing waters continuously spring forth. Give it to Emma to increase the maximum uses of our healing gourd. The twisted gourd of medicinal waters was known throughout Ashina since long ago, but it was the extraordinary healer Dojin and his pupil Emma who discovered the self-replenishing nature of this seed. So, two very important items we just got there. We got our gourd seed, which before we used our healing gourd, we had a maximum of 1 heal. And now if we give this gourd seed to Emma, who is someone we'll find back at the kind of hub area, she will increase our maximum number of usages when we rest at a sculptor's idol to 2 uses of our gourd seed, of our medicinal healing gourd, which is very important. We also got a prayer bead. So new item added to our menu here is the enhanced physical attributes. When we get 4 prayer beads, we can exchange them in for an increase to our health pool, and it also increases our resistance to posture damage. So these are very important throughout the game. Generally, prayer beads are going to be dropped by mini bosses when you kill mini bosses. Also, there are some prayer beads that are hidden in treasure chests or hard to find locations throughout the game, but we're going to get all of the prayer beads in this playthrough. So I'll show you where all of these are. They're not all obvious, but they do have quite an important impact on how we approach this game. And obviously if it increases our health, it makes things a little bit easier for us. So we can't actually do this yet because we only have 1 of 4 prayer beads, but this is where you would do it if we did have 4 prayer beads. So let's go on and travel back to the dilapidated temple, and we're going to get fitted for our shuriken. We're going to turn in our gourd seed to get our extra healing gourd capacity increased. So here we are back at the temple. So this is Emma. She, if you have a very sharp eye, you might remember her. She is the person who dropped the note into the well and told us to go get Kuro from the Moonview Tower. So let's talk to her.
You truly returned from the dead. The power of the dragon's blood. I never thought I'd see it with my own eyes.
Who are you?
My name is Emma. I am a doctor serving a certain master.
What master?
Forgive me, but for his safety, I cannot reveal his identity. However, my master gave explicit orders to assist you in any way I can. I'm not telling you to trust me. However, I must fulfill my master's orders. The gourd of medicinal water you possess, that was originally a creation of mine. I am a doctor, and I will assist you in that capacity.
All right.
You made this gourd?
Yes. It was intended for Lord Kuro, but it seems he entrusted it to you. I'm sure you may have noticed, but the medicinal waters in this gourd spring forth on their own. Even after being emptied, you will find it full again after a short rest.
Yes. Is there a way to improve it?
Bring me gourd seeds.
Gourd seeds?
Yes. Medicinal waters flow from gourd seeds. Adding new seeds will increase the volume of these medicinal waters. If you find any, bring them to me.
All right.
All right, so we can give her our gourd seed. And consuming them to increase our maximum uses of healing gourd. There is no other use for a gourd seed in this game. And so really the only purpose is to increase your healing gourd. So that is what we are going to do.
Is this a gourd seed?
Yes. Bring it here. Plant the seed into the gourd. Perfect. Now the volume of medicinal waters in your gourd will increase.
Alrighty.
Such a strange medicine.
Is it strange? I don't take any offense to that. If it's effective, then that's cause for celebration, whether it's strange or not. That's what my mentor Dogen taught me.
I see.
Please bring me any other gourd seeds you find. I should be able to further increase the volume of the medicinal water.
All right. Other than that, we can just talk to her, get a bit more lore and backstory.
I'd like to make a request.
What is it?
Please show me your face.
What?
This white mark Is it a birthmark?
No.
Then that must mean it appears on those who have received the dragon's heritage. Or perhaps it's a symptom.
Are you done?
Yes, that will be all. I'm sorry. That was rather rude of me. Goodbye.
Okay, so she made reference to the dragon's heritage. So our lord is Kuro, and he is actually immortal. And it turns out that we have similar power in ourselves. So we're going to, just a minute, learn more about that. And as the game progresses, we will learn more of the relationship between Sekiro and Lord Kuro and how all that works out. So let's go to the sculptor here.
I found one.
A shinobi tool?
Yes.
I said before that your prosthetic arm was a fang. But by fitting shinobi tools to your arm, you'll be able to change the form of that fang. Thick shields, break them into splinters. Swift foes, bring them down from afar. Fitting more devices means more ways to slay your enemies. If there's someone that needs killing, there's a proper way to kill them. That's all there is to it.
Seems you know this prosthetic very well.
I should calm myself. The more I speak of bloodshed, the more demonic my sculptures will become. Give it ear. I'll fit that tool for you.
All right, so somewhat of a troubled soul, this sculptor man. But he offers us quite a bit of help as the game progresses. So we can present our shinobi prosthetic, and we can fit this new tool, the shuriken wheel. And so here we have the loaded shuriken. Let's see, you can launch it at a target with a single flowing motion. The swiftly thrown shuriken damages enemy vitality and posture, particularly against those with a tendency to take to the air. Then you press triangle or whatever the corresponding button is on your controller, and basically just gives you the tutorial on how to use it. So now we have it.
No matter what I do, any Buddha I carve is an incarnation of wrath. Thus is the fate of those who owe a deep karmic debt. You'll understand when you try carving one for yourself one day. So, need something?
All right.
Yes, right. That kind-faced Buddha you see over there? Don't do anything funny with it.
Okay. So you can tell the sculptor has somewhat of a troubled past, may have done a thing or two in his life that may have caused some form of regret. But again, very helpful to us. All right, so if we rest, check it out. We now have 2 heals that we can use. Let's go ahead and travel back to this checkpoint right here. Right before we fought the mini-boss. As I said, when we rest, the mini-bosses do not respawn, but the dogs that were right by this idol that we had activated will respawn because they're just normal enemies. One thing I'm going to do here, just for the sake of showcasing some of the features in this game, I'm going to take an intentional death. I'm just going to let these dogs run up and kill me, and I'm not going to even fight. I'm just going to let them kill me. And there is a reason behind this. Oh. Come on. There we go. Oh, this is telling me how to use my healing gourd. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right, so I died. Or did I?
Loyal wolf, take my blood and live again.
So we, in this game, have the power to resurrect. So at this point, we have a choice. We can just press L1 and take the death, or we can press R1 and resurrect. So now, let's take care of these dogs. The Divine Heir's blood grants the ability to return from the dead using resurrective power. One charge is always restored by resting at a sculptor's idol. Killing enemies restores additional charges. Resurrection becomes unusable immediately after using it, but killing enemies will make it available again. So you can tell, you see there's a, well, we'll take care of this guy while we're at it. Why not? Get some extra practice. Okay, so you see that black cross through our resurrecting bar, that little icon? That means that resurrection is not available right now because, as the tutorial just told us, we just recently resurrected. The only way to get rid of that black slash is to kill some enemies, and then it'll become available to us. So let's go ahead and rest. And so you'll see there's actually two little dots above the health bar there. The first one that's full, we got that from resting, and that is our kind of freebie resurrection that you get just for resting. If you've already used your resurrection, you get it back immediately when you rest. Now the one that just you see has a little sliver of it filled, that resurrection gauge will increase when you death blow enemies. So as we go through and get some kills under our belt, that's going to slowly fill up, and that will give us a second resurrection bar to use. And so, this game gives you, it is unforgiving in some ways, but it also gives you lots of opportunities and second chances if you use them and take advantage of them correctly. So as we go through the game, you'll kind of get a better feel for how the resurrection system works. As for now, as you can see, we have the one, but you'll see the other one slowly fill up as we kill some enemies. So let's travel over here. And let's see, what should I do? Let's go this way. So over here, there's a guy standing here. We can sneak up, get a death blow. Okay, so there's lots of enemies in this area. This is really the first true test of how well can you manage a large group of enemies. It's really important to manage stealth and manage cover when you can. So this guy I want to go ahead and just kill while I want to maintain my cover from other enemies. There we go. Get that kill. So you can see that guy over there is trying to snipe us. And here comes another guy. To the extent that you can, it's a good strategy just to kind of funnel enemies towards you rather than fighting a huge mass at once. And one thing about this game is that, stealth is important, yes, and you can actually, as the game goes on, you can regain stealth once you're out of sight from enemies for long enough. So I know this guy's kind of shooting at me and he sees me. I'm going to run around the back of here. I think there's a guy off to the side here. Yep. All right. Take care of him. So he has a gun. The gun guys are actually pretty easy to take care of. And you'll notice we just got our first skill point. So we will, those come in handy later. Here's another guy. We'll lure him over here and kill him. Another one saw us too. We'll see which one gets to us first. This guy seems to want us more. Whoops. Took some damage that I didn't need to, but okay. That was bad. All right, here we go. Let's take care of this guy. The death blow. Really low on health, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the healing gourd. So yeah, it recovers about half of our health. Okay, so we have regained stealth. And let's see, what would be a good way to maneuver around here so as to keep our hidden advantage. Let's see, the guy with the gun is up there, so I'm going to grapple on up here and sneak up on him, get the death blow. In addition to him, there is a larger enemy that is actually quite powerful that I want to be able to sneak up on. If he finds us, it's not going to be the end of the world, but whatever. All right, so we got ceramic shards. I think there's something on top of the roof. There is. Can I grab on here? No. Okay. I think there should be a point where I can grapple up top to the roof. There we go. There we go. And up here, we have a Litecoin purse, which is basically stored money in our inventory. So if we go here to our inventory, see this Litecoin purse, it gives us 100. It gives us 100 sen, which sen is the unit of money in this game. And one of the things about this game is that if you're familiar with other From Software titles, if you take a true death, meaning you have no resurrections left and you get killed, resurrect, in other words, does not count as a true death. Much like you would come to expect in, say, Dark Souls or Bloodborne. In Dark Souls or Bloodborne, you would lose your souls, so to speak. And you'd have to make the trek back to your bloodstain to get it back. But in Sekiro, you don't have souls or blood echoes or whatever. You have sen, your money, and you have your skill points. So when you die, when you take a true death, your available skill points and your available money decrease by half, and there's no opportunity to get it back. Once it's gone, it is gone forever. So the benefit to having these coin purses is that when you die, you don't lose these coin purses that you have in your inventory. You only lose the coins that you actively are holding, which is represented in the bottom right-hand corner. You say I have 187 right now. So it's one thing that helps with money management is having these things in your inventory and not immediately using them, because if I were to use this now, it'd give me 100 extra coins, so I'd ascend coins, so I'd have 287, and then those would be at risk of being lost if I were to die. As far as skill points are concerned, you can see that I have one banked full point, and then next to it there's a 70, and I have 444 to the next skill point. So if I were to die, the amount that I have at risk is actually the 70. And so if I were to die, that would be cut in half immediately. The one skill point that I have banked, that is there forever until I use it to get an ability. And we'll get into that more a little bit later when we have access to the skill tree. So if we were to die, then those 70 skill points would be at risk to be cut in half. You'll also see towards the bottom left, we have unseen aid at 30%. It never goes higher than 30%. 30% is pretty much the highest you can get it. But what unseen aid is it's basically, that's telling us that if we were to die, we have a 30% chance of unseen aid being activated. And what that means is if unseen aid is triggered, it's a completely random chance, 30% chance. If it's triggered after a death, then we get a get out of jail free card. We don't lose any of our money, and we don't lose any of our skill points. And that's going to happen again 30% of the time, roughly, when we get killed. So it does happen. It's nice when it happens. Don't count on it happening. But that unseen aid will be a nice little treat every once in a while if you take a death and you don't have any immediate consequences to losing your skill points and your sin. So that's a little bit about just some of the core mechanics of this game you're going to run into quite frequently. Dying is something that just happens, and it's something you just got to get comfortable with in these games, because these games throw a lot at you. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up over here, and I'm going to try to find the larger dude. He's generally around here somewhere. There he is. You can see him right next to that tree. So I'm going to drop down, sneak up behind him, and get the death blow, so I don't have to deal with fighting him head on, because he's very large, has a big hammer, does a lot of damage, kind of a pain to fight. So I'm glad I don't have to fight. Just get the stealth death blow. All right, so here I have a Mibu Balloon of Wealth. This is something that you can activate, and what it does, it says if one pops the golden Mibu Balloon and prays, those its water splashes upon will acquire more coins for a period of time. Mibu means aquatic life, or life born in the water. The Ashina consider the fountainhead water itself to be worthy of worship. So if you use this item for a limited time, it's basically an increase of the amount of sin that you will receive as a result of killing enemies and whatnot. So it is helpful to use if you're in a spot where you really need some extra money to purchase an item of some sort. It'll help that process go by a little bit quicker. So let's drop down over here. You can actually break these boxes and access this sort of secret area. And under here, we have some Litecoin purses, which will give us some extra money, which will come in handy. And you didn't notice there's some roosters wandering around here. As I said, do not underestimate the roosters. They are deadly if you do not respect them. So I'm going to sneak up behind them, get death blows. I mean, they're not really not that hard to kill head on, but if you just walk up expecting you're going to get a free kill, I have been killed by them more than I would like to admit, unfortunately. So let's grapple on up here. You can see we got this old lady. Let's talk to her.
Oh, is that you, Inosuke? My son, have you seen the young master?
I am not your son.
There you go again, Inosuke. You always tease that I'm getting senile, but a mother knows her own son. Well, anyway, take this bell. It's a charm I made with the young master in mind. Please, offer it to Buddha for his sake.
Okay, kind of a crazy old lady. She's convinced that we are her son, and she gives us this bell, the young lord's bell charm. A bell charm received from an old woman who asked that it be offered to Buddha. Bell charms protect their holders through Buddha's divine protection. If one finds themselves the owner of another's bell charm, offering it to Buddha on their behalf is a common courtesy. The sculptor at the dilapidated temple can advise on how it should be offered. Okay, so let's keep that in the back of our minds. So we have this bell that should be offered to Buddha. We need to talk to the sculptor about it. So that's important. And over here is actually her real son. Let's talk to him.
Who is it? Is somebody there?
Yes.
That voice. No. Could it be? Sir, my name is Inosuke Nogami, a vassal of the Hirata family. Or at least I was. I ask a favor. Might you look in on the old lady in that house? She's my mother, but her mind is failing. She cannot tell one from another.
I met your mother. She gave me a bell.
She did she? You have my thanks. That bell's troubled her for a long, long time. She kept muttering incoherently. Something about offering it to Buddha.
Okay, so this is actually her son, and you can tell he's injured. He's actually blind, and we just kind of talked about the bell a little bit. We're actually going to run into them at a different point in the game, and it's kind of interesting. So we will wait for that to happen. So here's a guy, back turned to us. You know the drill. Death blow. However, pay attention. If you know anything about Miyazaki and his games, he loves to lure you into traps. So you see that guy up there? He has a large cannon that he will fire at you, and it is not something you want to find yourself in the middle of. So I would recommend not charging into this area. As tempting as it might be to get these guys that are just chilling over here, this guy with the cannon is going to spot you and he's going to tear you up. So let's climb up here instead. And this is somewhat of a secluded area, not obvious. I believe I actually missed this on my first playthrough, but this guy here is a merchant.
Care to purchase an offering?
An offering?
Indeed. I sell items to be offered to the dead, so they might rest in peace. From the looks of you, I'd wager you know a thing or two about death. Go ahead, buy an offering.
Okay, so we can purchase or sell. So let's go ahead and see what he has to offer. So just the standard fare, pellets. We have some ungo sugar, antidote powder, and he has Litecoin purses for sale. Just a quick note about this. We're not going to buy any right now, but as I said before, if you have money that's just, kind of part of your active pool of money, as in it's not a Litecoin purse in your inventory, it is at risk if you die. To counteract that, you can use your money to purchase Litecoin purses from merchants. And what that does is it converts kind of your active money at risk of death to money that is in your inventory. Catch is for a small fee. If you notice that this is a Litecoin purse you can purchase for 110 sen, Well, the value of a Litecoin purse when used is only 100 sin. So you're basically paying like a 10% tax, so to speak. But what it does is it converts your money that is at risk for death to money that is safe in your inventory. And you have to consider, well, let's say you're rolling around with 100 sin, or let's say 1,000 sin, and you die. Well, that's 500 sin that you're probably going to lose unless your unseen aid activates, which is a relatively small chance. So is it worth it to spend that extra 10 sin to get it into your inventory so that, if you were to die, you don't lose, say, 500 if you die with a large amount of sin at risk? So really, in terms of being conservative, I tend to favor buying Litecoin purses if I find that I have a lot of sin to spare. At first it feels like a ripoff, but if you think about kind of the cost and the cost versus the benefit, it seems like, it might be the better deal to actually spend the extra 10% now and get it and bank your money and keep it safe. What we're actually after now at this point, though, are the Robert's firecrackers. This is another prosthetic that we can equip. And this is probably the prosthetic, quite frankly, that I use the most often. So you can see we have 198 sin available. These are going to cost us 500. So I'm actually going to sell some Litecoin purses in order to have enough money to buy it. So let's see, we have 198. So I'm actually going to need 4 Litecoin purses, I believe. And that'll give us more than we need to buy it, but that's, 98 left over, I guess, but that's okay. All right, so we have the firecrackers, and they're not going to obviously be available to us until we go back to the sculptor and have him equip.
Don't use that thing around here. You'll scare the crows. They're very intelligent. Leaps and bounds smarter than other animals. Cruelty won't be tolerated.
Okay, so that's that. So there's our cannon dude. This is just a different vantage point. So what we're going to do, instead of charging head on through that door that we were just at before, we're actually going to take a sort of hidden side path that will allow us to sneak up behind him. Always use the environment to your advantage. Always explore, find the best way to go about a different situation. Sometimes you'll find something that's better off than just charging headlong into a bad situation. So this is a Gachian sugar, and this is sugar. Let's see, it says suppress sound and presence for a time, making the user harder to detect. So this increases your stealth for a limited period of time. So if you go back to our different kinds of sugars, we have this one which increases our attack. We have this one that increases our defense. We have this one that increases our stealth. So there are certain situations where it is very useful to use the stealth sugar, Gachian sugar. And so, of course, we'll get to those points in the game, but we don't really need to right now. So we'll just kind of roll like we normally roll. So over here, we can grapple over here, and then it brings us over. We can walk on the roof. He does not know we're here. And you can see his big cannon, but now he's dead. Don't have to worry about him anymore. And he gives us black gunpowder, black grains, forming the base for gunpowder, material used in alchemical, is that how you say that? Alchemical prosthetic tool upgrades, including those of an explosive and occultic nature. Even the most mundane form of gunpowder has a wide variety of applications. So this is basically upgrade materials for our prosthetics. As we proceed through the game, we get our different prosthetic attachments, and then also as we progress further, we get upgrade materials to upgrade those prosthetic attachments. So there's lots of cases, lots of uses, lots of different combinations you can experiment with the different prosthetics that you can acquire through the game. So I have this guy down here was to drop down death blow here, and then we're just going to fight this guy straight up. Deflect, hit, deflect. All right, there we go. Oh, this guy snuck up. Did not even know he was there. Take care of him as well. And this would be a good time to show you how pellets work, I guess. I'm going to use a pellet instead of a healing gourd use. So you'll see our health bar is slowly regaining for a period of time, and it'll eventually stop. It's not going to get us full health, but it's good to know when to use a pellet and when to use a healing gourd. And again, the pellets are consumable. They're not going to automatically fully restock once you rest, as your healing gourd does. So really, it's a balancing act. Different situations where you might want to use each one. It really just depends on your play style and your strategy. So here we have more pellets. And you'll see that you'll see they're split up between 1 and 1 on the side on the right there. That just means that one of them went into our inventory to restock it to 3. The maximum we can hold on us at any one point in time is 3. So that other icon meant that the other pellet that we just picked up went into storage. And so when we rest, if we have extra pellets in storage, it will replenish us to the maximum amount of 3 that we can carry with us at any one point in time. If we do not have any in storage, then we're just going to remain with the amount of pellets we had at the time that we rested. So the storage system, there's not like an item box per se that you can access. Really, it's just kind of a number off to the side. If you access your inventory, it tells us we have number held, maximum 3 of 3, and we have 9 of them in storage. So it just tells us. And again, you can only access the storage when you rest, and it automatically replenishes anything in storage up to the maximum they can hold at one point. Same for our sugars. You can only hold 3 of them at a time in your inventory until you rest. We don't have any of these in storage, so it's just kind of how that whole thing works with storage. All right, so let's grapple on up here and progress forward. Here's another crow rooster thing. And here we go. Let's drop down here. So this is what is called a remnant. And really what these do is these expand on the lore a bit. They're pretty much a recording of a past conversation that was held at this location. They're completely optional, but they do give you interesting little tidbits of this game and the story.
This man was from Hirata. I must pay my respects.
Lord Kuro,
Lady Emma, are there other Hirata survivors?
there are very few of us left.
I see. Apologies. There's no end to those who seek the dragon's heritage. This was their fate. Because of those that pursued me. I didn't mean to involve them.
Okay. So he's referring to the dragon's heritage. Again, that is essentially what makes him immortal. And that is a power that has been bestowed upon us that gives us this power to resurrect as well. So as I said, as we go on through the game, we're going to learn more and more about Kuro's backstory and his involvement and relationship with Sekiro. And it is very interesting, to say the least. So before we progress forward, there's this very easy to miss merchant. Let's talk to him.
Ah, I know you. Yeah. You're that good Sir Shinobi, sir, huh? Well, I haven't seen you since, well, since that night.
What night?
You don't remember?
No.
Ah, I see. You don't remember. Listen, sir, you and I, we've met before. I was a thief back then. But those days are behind me. Now, I'm an upright and honest merchant. Only problem is, I'm broke. And being broke, I don't have anything to sell. So, good sir, would you mind lending me just a few coins to get my business going? I'll stock something useful just for you. You bet I will. And as a little bonus, I'll tell you all about that night. What do you think? Pretty good deal, right?
All right. We're going to purchase the information.
Here's some coin.
Thanks, good sir.
Now talk.
Yes, of course. That night. So my gang broke into the Hirata estate. Now, as you're aware, the Hirata family is part of the Ashina. Now, normally they'd mop the floor with petty thieves like us. I mean, no sweat. But it just so happens we broke in during a battle. Yeah. Almost all the young samurai were away from home, and it was a prime opportunity. Then, we started a fire and cleaned out the place. That there's when I met you. You were looking for something. At least, that's what it looked like to me. Well, that's all I know about that night.
I see.
Yeah, that look you're making now. You had that same look on your face that night. You still looking for something? Listen, good sir. For a price, I might be able to tell you some other tidbits you might find useful. For a price, of course. I'm a merchant now, you know, so...
All right, so he told us a little bit about an incident that happened in the past at the Hirata estate, that a bunch of thieves snuck in during a battle, so all of the normal warriors who lived in the Hirata estate that would have been present to defend it were all gone away in battle, so his band of thieves was able to sneak in and burn down the place. We are actually about to dive into that a bit more in terms of just the actual gameplay and story. So it's actually what he's talking about is relevant to something that we're going to do pretty shortly here, but just a little bit of a backstory. And also, you've heard Kuro mention the Hirata a few times. He has relationships with them as well. And so that is an important, I guess, family, so to speak, in terms of the game's story and lore. So he gives us an opportunity to purchase some more information that might be of use to us. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Pay 20 cents.
I'll buy some information.
Thank you very much for your patronage. Since you're a shinobi, I'll give you some information about shinobi tools.
If you could.
Now, I've seen this tube. A tube with fire blasting out of it. Huh? When we broke into the Hirata estate, one of my pals nabbed one. That's the sound the fire makes when it blasts out.
All right, so we got the flame barrel memo. He's talking about when his band of robbers broke into the Hirata estate. They found a barrel that spewed fire. The boys lit a roaring bonfire with it and made merry with the drink. Must have been a shinobi's tool.
A fire-shooting tube at the Hirata estate. I'll keep that in mind.
Alrighty, so that's about all he has to offer us at this point in time. So let's make our way forward through this area and see, we got a couple guys chilling right here. We can actually eavesdrop on their conversation, so let's do that.
I don't feel safe with that big bastard just tied up next to us. I'd rather not be gravely injured just before the war begins.
If the worst happens, only choice is to use fire. Those red eyes fear fire. That's what the Lord's proclamation said.
Proclamations? What a joke. Ashina sure has a funny way of preparing for war.
So the monster they're referring to is that guy up there. You see him? He is the chained ogre. He is a mini-boss that we're going to have to fight. And these guys made reference to using fire against him. And if you recall, when we talked over here with this thief/merchant, his name is Anayama, he made reference to a tube of fire that we can get at the Hirata estate. So if you're putting 2 and 2 together here, maybe we shouldn't charge on in and fight this mini-boss. Maybe we should explore and see if we can pick up that prosthetic tool that will allow us to shoot fire. So we're not going to fight him yet, but let's go on and take care of these guys. These guys, if you get them into a corner, you can basically just spam attack and they're never going to even try to hit you. I don't know why, but that's just how they work. So you see he's up there. He's actually chained together. He can't attack us. He's stuck. And if you engage him, he will break free. But at this point, if you keep a safe distance, yeah, he's not going to go anywhere. So, all right. So we got a pellet. Another thing over here is we have another sculptor's idol. So let's go ahead and activate it. We're not going to rest or use it because there's one more thing that we want to do before we do anything else. So I'm just going to back out of here, just going to activate it so we have access to it. There is a secret path to the side that we're going to go, and there's a few items along the way, and it's by no means mandatory, but just a nice little secret off the beaten path here. So go back here. If you look up there, this is where we talked to the old lady who gave us the bell. And then off here to the side, we have a grappling point. We can jump over to this branch, grapple on over, and make our way down to this little pathway. And we have a Mibu possession balloon. This is a different balloon than the one we got before. If one pops this vibrant green balloon and prays, those its water splashes upon will have a higher chance of obtaining items. So instead of a higher chance of acquiring additional sen or money, this increases our item discovery temporarily. And another one of the same. And if you'll notice right off here to the side, we have what appears to be snake skin, and would indicate that this is a rather large snake. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing. Scrap iron. This is another upgrade material that we can use. We'll use it eventually to upgrade our prosthetic tools. So move on over here. So with this, we have to make a jump. So generally just sprint and then jump at the edge, and you'll be able to have plenty of distance to clear. This is another point where we can hug the wall and shimmy on across this thin ledge by pressing the square button. So now that we're on the other side. So you see we have this grapple point off in the distance. Again, you're going to want to sprint up to the edge and then jump right when you get to the edge. The game does, when you're sprinting to an edge where if you were to fall off, it would mean death. The game does give you a little bit of grace. Like, it's not going to just let you run right off. It'll kind of, you'll get a little bit stuck at the very edge, and it'll give you just a brief moment to make that jump. So you don't have to time it perfectly, but of course, good timing is always the best you can do. Is always better than just relying on the game to kind of cover you. But it does have that mechanic to where it's not going to, if you're sprinting, it's not going to just let you run right off the edge immediately. So sprint to the edge, jump, grapple, and there we have it. And we go on up here, and then I don't think there's anything else over here. That's correct. Okay, so let's go up here, and we're pretty much back to where our idol was. See, there's our idol. So got a couple nifty little items there, some upgrade materials and whatnot. So now we are going to rest, and we will travel back to the dilapidated temple. If you remember, we picked up the firecracker prosthetic tool. So let's go ahead and equip those as well. Here we are.
What is it?
Seems to me your battle sense has returned. You're more like a shinobi than before, if only a little. Take this.
All right, so he gives us the Shinobi Esoteric Text, a book of secrets that details a variety of techniques employed by shinobi, grants the ability to learn shinobi-style skills. Within this text are the innermost secrets of the shinobi art, such as attacks performed in the air and hiding one's body to avoid detection. Such moves could never be practiced by samurai.
What is it?
Shinobi techniques. Recorded within are fighting techniques that cannot be performed by samurai. Whether you make use of them or not is up to you. Shinobi aren't the only ones with their own fighting techniques.
Okay, so this gives us the explanation of skills. Owning an esoteric text of combat style will allow its skills to be acquired in the Sculptor's Idol skill menu. Each enemy defeated provides skill experience. Skill points are acquired once enough experience is gained, which can be spent to unlock skills. Some skills can also be learned by obtaining items or defeating enemies. Okay, let's talk to him again.
Hear the ring of a bell chime.
You mean this old bell? An old woman asked me to offer it to Buddha.
That bell. Have you seen it before?
No, it is unfamiliar.
It appears the bell disagrees. I think it's trying to tell you something.
What?
Give it as an offering. The kind-faced Buddha near the wall is different from the Buddhas I make. It was carved by the hand of the true sculptor.
Okay, so he tells us what to do with that bell we received from the old lady. we're supposed to offer it to that Buddha. We'll do that in just a bit. But first, we are going to present our prosthetic tool, and we are going to activate our shuriken and our firecracker.
If you
we'll
want
leave it
more
at that.
forms for that fang of yours, you'll need to search for more shinobi tools. There's no turning back from this path now. The least I can do is load your arm.
Okay, so this is the tutorial for prosthetic tools. So you equip them on the main menu, and then R2 is the button that you use to activate them and use them. And as I have mapped my buttons, the up button on the D-pad is to switch the prosthetic tools. So this gives us kind of the quick tutorial on how to equip them. So these 3 boxes up top are the slots that we can use to equip our prosthetic tools. So we only have 2 at this point. So let's go ahead and put on the loaded shuriken and the shinobi firecracker. And then you'll see we have those if you look at the bottom of the screen. So what we just obtained were spirit emblems. Spirit emblems are required to activate prosthetic tools and are consumed each time the abilities are used. Spirit emblems can be obtained from defeating enemies in the world and purchased from sculptors' idols. If you pass near them, they will find their way to you. So we have a limited use of these prosthetic tools based on how many spirit emblems we have. So right now we have 2, you can see. And you'll see that our loaded shuriken costs 1 spirit emblem to use each time. Our shinobi firecracker costs 2 spirit emblems to use each time. Right now, you see at the bottom right hand of the screen, we have a maximum of 15 that we can have with us at one point in time. And then the amount, the 0 in parentheses, is basically storage for spirit emblems. And that would, restore to you upon resting. So you just have to manage, the cost of using items versus these prosthetic tools versus how many spirit emblems you have available to you at that point in time. Early in the game, of course, we just have very limited use, but as the game goes on, we get more spirit emblems. We can use our shinobi tools a bit more generously. So as you can see, I'm cycling between my shuriken and my firecracker, and really, it's just kind of context based in terms of what prosthetic to use and under what circumstances. Also, if you recall, we got the esoteric text from the sculptor, which allows us to acquire skills. So this is another option that's being added to our sculptor's idol menu. So we can now acquire skills. You see, we have 1 skill point that we can use, and that will allow us to either acquire the Whirlwind Slash or the Makiri Counter. The Makiri Counter actually is going to take 2 skill points, and that is going to be the first one that I acquire. The Makiri Counter, I would actually make the case, should be part of the base skills you have access to at the beginning of the game. I mean, really, it is that important. So that is going to be the first skill that I acquire because it is an essential part of combat, in my opinion. So once we get Once we get enough attack power, we'll go ahead and purchase that Makiri counter with the 2 skill points required for it. But until then, one thing I wanted to demonstrate, and it is a pretty core mechanic of this game, is Dragonrot. At this point in the game, you may have already encountered Dragonrot, and I'm going to inflict it on myself on purpose. Reason being is, who knows what point in the game that you're going to encounter Dragonrot. I just want to make sure that you're well equipped with the knowledge on how to deal with it and that sort of thing by introducing it early in this playthrough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to induce death on purpose just by jumping off this ledge repeatedly. And after a certain number of deaths, I'm pretty sure it's random, Dragonrot will be inflicted upon some NPC characters in the game. So it might take 2 deaths, 3 deaths, I'm not quite sure. You'll notice that each time I jump off the ledge, if you die, if you fall off a ledge, it takes away a certain amount of health. And then if your health is completely depleted by fall damage, then it counts straight up as a death. It does not give you the opportunity to resurrect if you die via fall damage. So loss upon death. So this is basically telling us that we have we're losing half of our sin and half of our available skill points. You can see that they just subtracted. We did not receive unseen aid, so we lost half. But that's okay. And another reason why I'm doing this early on in the game is because I don't have a whole lot of sin or a whole lot of attack points at risk, skill points at risk right now anyways. So I can take the hit and it's not that big of a deal because I don't have all that much right now anyway. So this is my second death. We'll see if it triggers the cutscene or not. Doesn't look like it. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I get Dragonrot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to cure Dragonrot as well. So a little bit about what Dragonrot is Dragonrot is a disease that is basically inflicted on NPCs in this game as a result of you dying. So Dragonrot does not occur because of resurrection. It occurs because of a complete death. If you can resurrect 1,000,000 times and you're not going to have Dragonrot. The trigger for Dragonrot is an actual death, meaning you have no resurrections left. You take the actual death X number of times and you're going to get Dragonrot. And here we just got Unseen Aid. So that's our 30% chance. And we did not lose any sin. And we did not lose any of our skill points. So lucky us. And again, it kind of draws emphasis to that 30% at the bottom of our menu there. That's our percentage chance for receiving Unseen Aid. So Dragonrot doesn't, just a little bit about how it works is if NPCs catch Dragonrot, basically it just prevents you from advancing their quest lines until you cure their Dragonrot. Someone could catch Dragonrot and you could leave it on for the whole game. It's not going to kill an NPC per se, but it's going to make them sick and you can't really interact with them until you cure it. So I think we're about to get the Dragonrot cutscene here.
So, you're awake. Your death is not your fate. Just yet.
Okay, so we got Rot Essence Sculptor. Somewhere a painted cough rings out continuously. The man who coughs zealously sculpts statues. The man who coughs zealously sculpts statues of Buddha to avoid being consumed by the building flames. Owning this item reduces one's chances of receiving unseen aid. So that's another impact of Dragonrot, is the more people that have Dragonrot in the world due to you dying and inflicting Dragonrot, the lower your unseen aid percentage becomes. So it was at 30, so now it's going to be lower. In addition, we have Rot Essence Timid Maid. Somewhere a painted cough rings out continuously, the coughing and wheezing sounds of an old woman deeply worried about her beloved master. Owning this item reduces one's chance of receiving unseen aid. So 2 people in the world have Dragonrot. And this is just the quick tutorial. The more one with the power of the dragon's heritage dies, so we have the power of the dragon's heritage, i.e. the power to resurrect, the more a sickness known as Dragonrot spreads through the world. Dragonrot is not caused by resurrection. It has a chance to occur only when the wolf truly dies repeatedly. The more Rot Essence Wolf has, the lower the chances of receiving unseen aid. So you don't inflict Dragonrot every single time you die. As you just saw, it took us, I think, 3 or 4 deaths before Dragonrot was triggered. But if you die repetitively and you ignore Dragonrot and you choose not to heal it, more people are going to catch it. And then that is going to further and further reduce your unseen aid. So you'll see their unseen aid is now at 13%. Was at 30, now is at 13. So that is one big facet of Dragonrot that is perhaps maybe the biggest motivation to get rid of it is to increase your unseen aid percentage. So let's talk to the sculptor. As you can see, he's now inflicted with Dragonrot.
What's wrong?
Dragonrot. The stagnation overflows and spreads. A disease that leads eventually to death.
What are you talking about?
You don't need to worry about me. I'm not normal, you see. It's difficult for me to speak now. Ask Emma about the rest.
Okay, so he is clearly sick. So we're going to talk to Emma, see if there's anything we can do about it.
Have you seen the sculptor lately?
Yes. He's...
All I know is what Dogen told me long ago, that the dragon's heritage can bestow the power of resurrection. However, it is not any ordinary power. Repeated use leads to stagnation, which will eventually reach a point where it overflows. This causes those who do not have the power to become sick, a disease known as Dragonrot. He knew much about it, but even so, he was unable to determine a cure. Forgive me.
Is there a way to treat this Dragonrot?
I do not know. However, it must be stopped. I am unsure. But the first step is to look through my mentor's research and see if I can discover a way.
Thank you.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So, doesn't give us any immediate help, but what happens is sometimes when we're advancing sort of a quest line for a side quest, resting at an idol is actually the trick to advance the quest line. So if we rest, you can see Emma is no longer standing there, and that kind of advances this little quest that we're on here to cure Dragonrot. So let's talk to Emma and the sculptor again.
What are you doing?
Oh, I didn't realize you were here. The sculptor has been coughing blood. I took a sample of this blood for my Dragonrot research.
A sample of his blood?
Yes, blood that he's coughed up. The color of the blood itself appears to be tainted, stagnant, but the sculptor's blood alone isn't enough to reach any conclusions.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes. Bring me samples of blood coughed up by others that suffer from the Dragonrot. If I have more, I'll be able to learn more about the disease.
If I come across anyone afflicted by the Dragonrot, I'll ask them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So, to cure the Dragonrot, we need to give Emma another sample. So if you remember when we first saw that cutscene, there were two people who were inflicted with Dragonrot, the sculptor, and I believe they called it the timid maid or something like that. So the timid maid is the old lady who gave us the bell. Another reason why I like inflicting Dragonrot early on in the playthrough is it tells me exactly, based on the number of NPCs I've encountered, which is pretty much just her at this point, I know that it's going to give me the timid maid as the NPC that I need to talk to receive the blood sample. If you're further in the game before getting Dragonrot and you've interacted with a lot of NPCs, there's no telling who's actually going to catch it and who needed to go to get the blood sample. This, at least, getting it early in the game, at least I will know for sure that this is who I need to visit to get the blood sample from. So it just makes it a little bit easier to predict. So let's make our way back over to her hut. I'm actually going to try to obtain a second skill point. If I can grab onto the sledge here. There we go. Let's sneak up behind the cannon dude. I want to get my second skill point so I can unlock the Makiri counter on the skill tree. And that is something, again, that I use very often in this game, and the game generally begs you to use it. It is, I would consider it a core mechanic of combat. It is just as important, in my opinion, as some of the other elements of combat, such as deflecting. I mean, you're not going to use it as often as a deflect, but it essentially is a deflect, as you'll see when we get it. It's essentially a deflect for a thrust attack. I don't know if I'm going to get enough without a significant amount of grinding. I don't know. I'm probably not going to get it right here, but that's okay. All right, so there is the timid maid. Can I grab onto that roof, or am I going to have to make the jump? I'm just going to... Oh, I can just grapple over. Okay.
The Dragonrot.
Inosuke.
Inosuke,
Yes.
protect the young master. You hear?
All right.
We're counting on you.
Okay, so we can take her coughed up blood
I'm
sample.
taking a blood sample.
All right. So we have our blood sample, and Emma can now use this.
Lady Emma.
So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the homeward idol, and we can use this to warp back to the dilapidated temple without even being at an idol. So the homeward idol allows you can either use it to directly warp back to the dilapidated temple, or you can use it to warp back to the idol, the sculptor's idol that you most recently interacted with. So it doesn't allow you to travel to anywhere, but you can do either the last idol you interacted with, whichever one that may be, or the dilapidated temple, which is kind of useful if you just need to warp back here quickly. So let's talk to Emma, give her the blood sample.
Yes?
I saw you and Lord Kuro in a vision.
A vision?
Yes. Where is Lord Kuro right now?
He's being kept near the keep at Ashina Castle. The gate to the castle, however, is shut.
I see.
I'm glad you've come, Master Wolf.
All right, so we can give her the Dragonrot blood sample.
I've obtained one.
A blood sample. Let me see. The coloration is very similar to the sculptor's. The color is just slightly tainted. But what's this?
Do you have enough blood?
I believe so. Allow me to continue my research into the Dragonrot. When we speak again, it's likely I'll have made a breakthrough. In fact, count on it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So we have to wait on her to analyze the blood sample. So that means we have to rest. And we will go right back to her.
I've been waiting for you.
Any progress?
Yes, I've found some answers. The source of the Dragonrot is the stagnation in your blood.
What causes the stagnation?
The blood has only a limited amount of power available to it. Let's say you've used all of this power, and then you attempt to resurrect again. The resurrection still occurs, but it must draw on power from another source.
From those that have the Dragonrot?
I believe so. For those who have the Dragonrot, the natural life force that everyone has, that allows them to live their lives and function as human beings, has been taken from them. Their blood has stagnated.
Can it be cured?
Yes, by giving back what has been taken. Here you are.
All right, the Dragon Blood's Droplet, an item that is rarely dropped by a divine heir of the dragon's heritage, using it will slightly increase resurrective power. Restore the power of life to those who have been drained of it by offering this drop to the sculptor's idol with the recovery charm in hand. In turn, all afflicted with Dragonrot will be healed. The incessant coughing must cease. So, using this item will cure everyone who currently has Dragonrot of the disease, and everything will restore to normalcy. And then this is the recovery charm created by Emma. With this charm, one can offer a dragon's blood droplet at a sculptor's idol to restore all afflicted with Dragonrot back to health. The charm contains a Dragonrot victim's blood, which Emma managed to purify and solidify into a bloodstone. Okay, so now we have the ability to restore and heal Dragonrot. So we go to Sculptor's Idol. You'll notice that we have a new a menu item here, Dragonrot Restoration. And since we do have a droplet, we can restore those afflicted with Dragonrot. And so, Dragonrot is healed. And all who have been afflicted with it have been restored to health. So, it's as easy as that. The kicker is, of course, there's a limited number of droplets that you're going to be able to get to cure it throughout the game. I'm not sure if there is actually a limit, but you will find some in the environment every once in a while, and there's also some that are available for purchase if you need them. It really just depends, and that's what you're going to need if Dragonrot were to occur. And again, it does not occur every single time that you die. I think it's somewhat determined by RNG, but from time to time after a death, you're going to run into Dragonrot, and that's how you deal with it. So let's see here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to use our bell charm. We're going to offer it to the Buddha statue while we're here. And see what happens.
Close your eyes. Hear the bell speak to you. The bell's chime will stir your thoughts and awaken old memories from their slumber.
Okay, so as the sculptor says, using the bell awakens an old memory. So if you notice that subtitle at the bottom, so we've got some pellets, you notice that subtitle at the bottom of the screen said 3 years ago. So what this did was it brought us to an event in the past. You can see something is on fire in the back. Where we are at now is actually the Hirata estate, as was referred to by Kuro and Anayama, the thief and merchant that we encountered earlier in the game. So we're about to dive into some of the events that happened at the Hirata estate and witness firsthand the impact that this has on the story. But before we do that, we are going to commune with this sculptor's idol. And I think this episode has gone on long enough, so we're going to call it right here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this guide has been very helpful to you in your quest to get through this game. Please consider joining the squad by subscribing to the channel and also leave a like and a comment down below. Would love to hear what you guys like about this walkthrough or would like to see more of, or if there's anything that you're having trouble with, let me know and I'd be glad to help out. In the meantime, have a good one, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.